Welcome back to Echo Ridge. Today, we need to finish off the industrial sauna that we started last episode. Before we can do that, though, we actually have to turn it into a sauna, which is taking a little bit of time. The second thing we need to do is massively expand on the Dreco ranches. Before we start that, I have to warn you, of course, after my brief vacation, I ended up with a sinus infection. So that's probably what you're going to be hearing in my voice. I've been playing around with a couple of different designs for Dreco ranches, and I think this is probably what we're going to end up with, or something similar. And there's a couple of reasons why this is a good design. First, we only have to fill the bottom part of the Dreco ranch with chlorine, and that way the balm lilies that the Drecos are going to be eating will continue to grow. The top part, which is the place that the dupes will have to actually visit to use the grooming station, drop off more Drecos, is not in chlorine, therefore the dupes don't really need to be in suits. We'll have an auto sweeper down here that'll pick up all the meat and any of the other goodies such as the phosphorite and transport it somewhere else. There is one consideration though. Eventually the dupes are going to exhale so much that the carbon dioxide is going to sink lower than the chlorine gas and then stifle the balm lilies. So we're going to need a filtration system on every level that gets rid of any carbon dioxide or any gas that is not chlorine. One current issue that you'll notice is the fact that the balm lilies aren't in their optimal range for body temperature, which is 35 to 85 degrees. Right now it's 28, which means we're going to need a sort of thermal control system over here, which we normally just do with a thermal aqua tuner, but that setup is normally made to cool an area, not heat one up. So, central heat and air it will be. The power bank situation from last episode is mostly resolved. We're up to 2 megajoules or 17 eco power banks, which the trade-off for the bionic dupes and the fact that they don't eat, but they do require a lot of power, considering they need a bunch of power banks, is not really going to become an issue for us because we have so many excess dupes. Right now I have 40 that are idle, that any time that I need more power in and around the colony, we just make more. Now, ideally, this is not going to be the setup for the long term, but for now, this works out perfect. I'll even throw in a couple of extra power banks to get that number as high as we can. Since eco power banks don't really go off like food does, they can sit around forever. So it doesn't matter if we stockpile a bunch of them. Speaking of stockpiling food, it's time to print another dupe. And once again, it is going to be a bionic dupe. The Gizmo and the Chip both start off with decreased athletics due to their late bloomer bug, so it looks like it's going to be this Ulti who starts off as a Masterworks artist. Welcome to duplicate number 104, Ruku Full. I'm pretty sure I've been running out of beds for quite some time, and I don't really see any beds that aren't taken, so it's time to make some more. We can go right in here like this. We'll use some camping cots this time. Granite seems okay. Every once in a while I come and take a look just to make sure that the duplicates aren't being woken up by the bionic dupes when they're meditating. I'm sure it's happening for 1 or 2 dupes, but here's the great thing. If it does happen, it's only happening once every 3 cycles. So, you know what? I think the dupes can live with that. Unrestful night once every 3 nights? I'll take it. I have been failing to put down some wonderful artwork here though, so let's rectify that situation. Oh, that is not even at all. Now over here in the sauna, we are still making steel and I'm about to queue up some more, let's say copper ore. I'll do 25 of it. We have the iron volcano, so there's really no reason for us to get rid of the iron ore. It could be valuable in the future, but I just want a little bit of heat and that way all that super hot coolant spreads all through here and heats this water back up to turn into steam. It's definitely a slow process, but then once that's done, I will finish this room off and put the required 6 or 7 gas pumps. Right now, I just have 1. In fact, I'll just add a quick second. Something like this. Yeah, that'll be fine. Because remember, this cool steam vent is going to be producing 3.3 kilos worth of steam every single second, so it's going to take a few more gas pumps to be able to get rid of all that steam. Now that I think about it, it actually erupts at 10 kilos per second of steam, so in between eruption cycles, we still may get some stifling out of the cool steam vent. I don't know, I'll see what I can do, how many gas pumps we can pack in here. The juice versus the squeeze sort of situation. I suppose, though, I can put a thermal aqua tuner down now. There is water, so I wouldn't have to worry about it overheating. Power situation's a little, not great because we got everything in the way. So let's just move this to, say, here, and I will move this one. Oh, this is going to be a cluster for a minute. That should work out. Now, the question is, do I want to go through this work knowing that I'm just going to move the thermal aqua tuner, because what I'm actually trying to cool is all the way up here, and what I'm trying to heat is all the way up here. I think I'm actually going to wait because I'm going to have to throw down more power transformers anyways. And that way this place down here doesn't get too much. Plus I'm going to need to throw in another power transformer because we're going to have so many gas pumps. But I suppose I can make the liquid tepidizer setup because that's going to be all the way up here. Now what nincompoop designed the perfect Dreco ranch and then made it too big? Oops. Back to the drawing board. In other news, the reason why I have not been making more steel is because we're out of refined carbon. No reason why we can't put a kiln down here. We'll make it out of steel because the other materials are all ores and they don't conduct thermals as well. So it'll help as well. Why is this not plugged in yet? Oh, for the love of Pete. All right, I can fix that. We're just going to put that right on the main spine just for a minute, just so Dupes can get in there and finish this off. There we go. Now let's get rid of all the overload messages. That'd be great. And before I could get another update, we have another dupe. Of course, it's bionic. Oh, it's a mammoth egg. Sorry, big buddy, it's not quite cold enough for you here. Nothing too exciting between Sonyar Chip and Eduardo. We're going to go again with the advanced medical booster so we can have more bionic dupes working on the apothecaries to make more gear balm. Welcome to duplicate number 106, Brian Rowe. I was doing some cleanup sweeps and I realized I'm not sure if I should be sweeping these eco power banks. So we're going to try this out real quick. I'm going to move one into our storage and see if it starts zapping all over the place, thereby removing all of its charge. And the only way I'm going to be able to see that it was actually dropped off is if this target reticule goes away. Okay, eco power bank is sitting in the water. Still sitting at, it's getting zapped. Water damage for sure. And what's worse is that's actually damage. Well, now the damage is all repaired, apparently. But what's going on? It still has its charge. Apparently the damage heals itself as soon as it's out of the water. So mental note, do not put the eco power banks in water. To ensure that doesn't happen, I need to make sure they are not being swept. Alright, the full ones have their own category and they are not selected by default, which works just fine for us. Was that an accidental pause or is it time for another dupe? Accidental pause! Here we go. That is much better. We now have 96 tiles. I'd gotten the height of the room wrong. Now with the balm lilies, we can see that their life cycle is 12 cycles. So we know its growth rate per cycle by taking 100 and dividing it by 12, which is 8.33. In other words, every balm lily grows 8.33%. Well, when we take a look at our Dreco here and highlight over balm lily, we can see that it only requires 6% growth per cycle. We know that we're going to put 8 Drecos in every single ranch, so that means we need 48% worth of balm lily growth every single cycle, because 8 times 6 is 48. So if we take our 48 that's required and divide it by 8.33, it comes out to be 5.76. Well, you can't have 0.76 of a plant, so we need 6 balm lilies in every single ranch. This one does not need as many because you can see we're only storing 7 critters, and that's because the room is a little bit smaller than 96 tiles. Why don't I just make that a little bigger just by doing that? Then I'll just add another balm lily. So 6 balm lilies. There is 5 and 6. Ooh, that looks kind of ugly, huh? Let's do it like that maybe. And then every ranch is going to need an auto sweeper, one down here and one up here, and a conveyor loader in the middle. We can also make that out of lead. This auto sweeper will be able to pick up all the phosphorite, meat, and eggs that they lay down here. But unfortunately, when you get it to the height that can see up here, it can't see all the way down here. Hence the reason you need 2 auto sweepers. Now, I just need to duplicate this setup. 9 times 11, there's 9 times 11, and duplicates are surely going to get a bunch of stuck here, but that'll be okay. And there we have our first 3. Let's do some sweeps to make them nice and pretty. I did have to move the conveyor loader around because these ranches were going to have ladders to get over to the other ranches, we couldn't have the conveyor loader right here, and I want them to be all nice and matchy-matchy. Now, just to duplicate it a few more times. 9 times 11 is right there. So this is the new floor. In the construction of our second level of Dreco farms, I realized we're going to have to move our gear bomb setup because it's in the way of our door. And I want them to be all nice and symmetrical. So it's time to move these, except I figured we'll do a nice little upgrade since we're moving them by adding some weight plates. I guess we have to get rid of the ladders. Ooh, this just got a little bit more complicated. Weight plate automation comes out here. Oh, this is going to be a cluster, but it's okay. We're going to work around it. Let me deconstruct this knot gate and set up the lights first. The whole idea was to give the apothecaries the well-lit buff, so we're making the gear bomb even faster. But to do that, you need to connect the weight plates to the lights. That way you're not wasting power and having the apothecaries being well lit when there's nobody here. Which this is not bad. I just have to move this to the side. And it looks like it's dupe time already. Here we go. Duplicate number 107, we have an option. We have a Sonyars here. Ignore the Brian Rowe. If you haven't heard me explain this before, sometimes when you've already printed a specific dupe type in a colony, it will use the name that you last chose for it. I don't know if it's a bug or it's as intended, but this is a Sonyars, this is an ulti, and this Devon is really trying not to be printed. Although they do have a +4 to athletics, they are a slow learner. But we haven't printed a normal dupe in so long, so let's give Devon a shot. Welcome to duplicate number 107, Pajama Llama. Construction continues at our Dreco ranches, and we ran into a problem. I was really trying to keep these pincher pepper nuts, just because I like this point of interest and all that, but unfortunately, they've gotten in my way. So it's time to destroy all this, and that way we can seal this in as intended. I suppose I'll keep this, of course, if I don't. That's another whole Dreco ranch right here. Yep, time to move all this too. And it just so happens that I have a large run of the power spine right here. And since we're not caring about the decor and we're putting them on heavy watt conductive wire instead of standard conductive wire, I don't have to worry about putting them into groups of 5. I really did want to leave the little cafeteria section, but like 12 Dreco ranches is not going to be enough. We need to keep going. Our manual generators are moved down here. We have this battery set at 90/20, and they'll just keep running and running. The great thing is all the carbon dioxide they're producing is going to be gobbled up by this carbon skimmer right here. Eventually we're going to do away with these because we have our awesome little gas pump systems that gets rid of all the carbon dioxide. But I have other things on the agenda right now, like sweeping and mopping and crossing our fingers that this industrial sauna doesn't take another 4 episodes. As for the power banks, just temporarily I put them in here. Remember, eventually I'm going to put them all in the sauna, but there's not enough room yet, or at least room where they would not overheat inside this steam. Now that I'm sitting here designing this whole thing, the idea about this design was that the chlorine would sit at the bottom, so I wouldn't have to have the duplicants in suits. But since this is just a giant block anyways, why don't I fill it all with chlorine and then put one set of suits? That probably would have been a smarter idea. When I was originally designing it, I was like, well, I don't want to have suits in front of each row of stables. But if I put this whole thing in a block, well, then I don't have to worry about it. And then I just fill the whole thing with chlorine. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. And it's time for another dupe. We have a Nintendo 64 cartridge in the form of an Extreme Digging Booster and 3 more Bionic dupes. As the standard, we will be taking the Advanced Medical Booster for more gear bomb work. Although we probably need to differentiate it at some point because, well, we have like a lot of Bionic dupes with Advanced Medical Booster. Welcome to duplicate number 108, Hans. Or Haynes? I'm going to go with Hans. I came to a sort of fork in the road because I wanted to have 2 entrances. One at the bottom and one towards the top. Unfortunately, there wasn't really a lot of room up the top that I could make do with. So now I'm thinking about just maybe one entrance in the middle. Might be the best. The key, though, is I'm going to need enough docks. So I'm thinking maybe right here. So let's seal that off like that. Open her up right here. Now we'll make it even Stevens. I am not going to worry about the heat transfer, so one liquid lock will be just fine. I suppose I can also do the big old sweep here when they get around to it. 18 gorgeous looking Dreco stables. It's going to take quite a lot of materials, but that's going to be okay. And then I'm going to have to cool it. That's also okay. If I can get enough hot chlorine, I may not even have to heat it up. Because once all the Drecos are in here, well, they'll keep the place warm enough. So the basic framework is in. It's a lot of power cables and a whole bunch of other materials so we can put in grooming stations, critter drop-offs, all the ladders. But now we have to worry about actually liquid locking this in and getting all the other gases out. Now this is sort of a Herculean task because, well, each one of these little stables is enclosed. So I'm thinking one gas pump per stable plus a couple for this area here. The gas pressure is not too high, so it shouldn't be too bad, but I think I've said that before. Before we continue, it is time to print another dupe. And it looks like we have another opportunity to print out a real dupe because this Stela has decreased athletics, no thank you. And I don't need another bionic dupe to be doing ranching. Oh, wait a minute, do I? No, we have plenty of ranchers on the colony. I was thinking because we're adding so many more Dreco ranches, we're going to need a lot more ranchers. But, I mean, we have 109 dupes now. Welcome to the colony, dupe number 109, Matropolis. As I'm putting all these gas pumps in, I'm putting them towards the bottom of the stables because that's where the gas is most likely to be trapped. And we're just going to push it all to the outside with no more than probably one level. Typically, you only put 2 gas pumps per pipe because each gas pump can push 500 grams and a pipe's max is 1,000. But in this case, since there's so little, it's not like they're going to be pushing full packets anyways. So we're just going to do a little something like this. Now, some of you might be thinking, hey, Echo, this is excessive. Why do you need this many ranches? Well, I'm doing this because first, we're down to 75 tons of slime, so our mushrooms are about to finish up. And when we're out of mushrooms, it's going to be a bad day for the entire colony. But for 2, before those mushrooms finish up, it'd be great to be able to stockpile a bunch of food. Taking that into account with also the fact that it's going to take a long time for all these Dreco ranches to spin up, with each having 8 Drecos in them. So we need to get a start on that now. As a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to need a bunch of incubators, and it sort of makes sense to have them all in here. So I'm going to extend this over just a little bit. Where are you? You can go away. And that way we have plenty of room to put some incubators. I'm going to need 24 Drecos being replaced per level. And even with a Dreco living 150 cycles, their incubation rate by default is only 3%, which means an unpowered incubator only gives us 1 Dreco every 33 cycles. But when they are powered, just like with the hatches, we'll get 1 Dreco every 5.88 cycles. So over the course of 150 cycles, we're going to be given over 25 eggs. So the long and short of it is, I need 1 powered incubator per level, which isn't too bad even though we have 6 levels. Let the great vacuuming of the Dreco ranches begin. In the background, I'm going to start putting in the rail system. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these eggs. I mean, maybe I should drop them each right here, and that way an auto sweeper can load the incubators, and then we pick them up again and put them into the evolution chamber? Is that a thing? Well, I guess it is now. Quick update on the industrial sauna. We've got about 85% filled with steam. The pressure in the top left is about 1,500 grams. Down here, it's still about 11 kilos. We still have some rain, of course, because the last of the temperature shift plates are fighting their hardest. But I think it's going to be the next episode when we're able to throw all the power bank chargers in there, the hydrogen generators, possibly even the natural gas generators, once I'm sure that it's going to stay hot enough. I'm also adding a bunch of airflow tiles. This isn't necessarily to help the vacuuming out, but rather when we go to put all the chlorine in here, this is going to come in handy. Because then I can just put a couple of canister emptiers and whammo blammo, we'll have chlorine everywhere. Although it's not going to be hot enough yet. I need to start thinking about that too. The chlorine that we're going to be feeding it with is sitting only at around 44 degrees, which is hot enough to keep the bomb lilies going, but when you take into account that it's also going to be trying to heat up this entire area, it might be a little bit of a dumpster fire. And because we have a bunch of bionic dupes going through this liquid lock now, which is all done, we're down to 1.1 megajoules of power banks because they're using them so much faster. So I need to get that turned off and an Atmosuit checkpoint in. Say like right here. A bunch of docks. That should be good. Now I need to figure out where we're going to pull the oxygen from. Right here. I'll bring it all the way up. I'm probably going to have to load it with a second line because even a line full of oxygen isn't enough to keep this many docks going if they're consistently being used. So I'll probably rip some off of here as well. But this was pretty easy because it's also not being cooled yet. So I'd rather use these lines for oxygen. I also really need to get these hydrogen generators onto the spine. Maybe I will hook these up temporarily. It's gonna be fine. It's temporary. And I'll put another handy dandy power transformer right here. And we are burning through some metals this episode. There we go. Now the power requirements here are on the transformer, and then these hydrogen generators are going to be sitting on the power spine, which is just fine. I can put them both on the automation and set this. I think we've said we're going to set the hydrogen generators to 9080. And now at least these two are feeding the spine, which should help keep the hydrogen from getting backed up in this spawn. Another day, another dupe here at Cycle 323. It looks like this one is going to be a bionic dupe. And here we have a suit training booster, although they do have a decreased athletics. -3, +5, so +2 for Gizmo on the athletics front. Welcome to duplicate number 110, Etten Enwalt. Additionally, they're also going to get the bonus +2 to athletics for schematics. And as I've been working through the skill tree, I've noticed that, yeah, advanced schematics gives them a +2 athletics, but so does improved gears 2, booster processing 2, complex processing gives them the exosuit penalty reduction. So there's plenty of opportunities, even though they don't gain levels the traditional way, to give them enough athletics for late game, just by giving them a bunch of skills. I'm assigning all the conveyor loaders on the inside of the Dreco ranches. They're going to be picking up meat, balm lily flowers, phosphorite, and critter eggs. And we'll leave most of that stuff here. The only thing that's going to be heading away in these conveyor loaders is going to be the critter eggs themselves, which specifically is going to be glossy Drecos and standard Drecos right there at a priority of 5. Because all the incubators are going to be priority 6. That way the auto super knows to put the egg in the incubator before it puts it in the conveyor loader. But I can't set these yet because this is about to be a vacuum. And when it is a vacuum, these things would end up overheating. But I can set those. Dreco eggs, yes, all the way down. And now it's just time to put some rails in. Oh, we are so running out of ore. I guess I'm going to use iron. I really wish the devs would make conveyor rails cheaper. We're down to 12 tons of iron ore. And I still have to make the entire run all the way to the evolution chamber from these guys here. And we're down to 3 tons. Looks like I'm using wolframite. It's not too far. Let's see how far I get on iron. Oh, we're already over. Wolframite it is, all the way up. We're down to 6 tons, and I just have to get it to this drop off right here. So we'll say like this. And we're down to 927 kilos. Well, maybe not. It just updated, so we may have ran out of wolframite. Eventually, we're going to take the trip over to the next planetoid, and we'll be able to get all the ores from it. There's also still a lot of ores hidden around here, because no, we still have not finished all the digging here. Look, we've been busy. We've had things to do. I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it. While the dupes finish that forever task of building all those rails, we have a full sauna. Granted, the pressure is not completely equalized, but it's pretty good at 7.7 kilos up here. I still haven't built out the system where I need to pull all of this over. I'll be doing that here shortly. I need to get in here and deconstruct some of these. And I'm pretty sure I can get rid of this metal refinery now and only use these. So I will queue this for deconstruction. And I'll move our wonderful Pop Rocks rock crusher over here. But you'll notice I built a bunch of these mesh tiles. And that's because it's finally time for us to put in all these power bank chargers. I'm thinking this many? What is this, 6 per row? I don't know how many we need. I think we decided that each power bank charger can support 2 bionic dupes. So this should be good for now. Especially if I manage to get a surplus. Oh look, it's time for another new dupe. We only have choice of 2. We have a Stela and a Chip. And Stela has the suit training booster. So it made this pick pretty easy. Welcome to dupe number 111. Peshpa. Oh, look at this. It's finally a vacuum in here, which means I can put in canister emptiers. I'm going to put in 1 per level, and I'm actually going to increase the priority on this. Down here, we already have a canister filler that is filling up bottles of chlorine, And I realized I do not have any auto sweepers or anything in here, so these Drecos stay nice and cramped, but they'll be fine. Also means I can get rid of all this. Oh, this is going to be a lot of tasks, especially considering they're going to be sitting in suits to do it. I am pretty proud of the vacuuming out, though. That didn't take too long. I guess it helps when you use 20 some odd gas pumps. Whoa, why are you guys saying vacuum, but there's still stuff down here? Okay, so we have an almost vacuum. Let me fast forward that just a smidge. It should be deleting everything now. Oh, no, we just got another explosion of polluted oxygen. Oh, geez, Louise. Let me cancel all these deconstructs. Remember that time I was talking about how great it was that everything was vacuumed out? That was a great time, wasn't it? Unfortunately, that's going to do it for today's episode. I need to get this one to the editing room floor because I know there's plenty of people waiting on another video. I took a small vacay last week and so I wasn't able to get a video out. But rest assured, now that we're getting into the new year and everything starts calming down again, we should be able to start hitting that 2 video a week milestone that I like to be at. I appreciate your continued support of the channel and of this series. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.